Yes, yes, and we're live. YouTube, family, friends, everyone out there. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate you. I love you. I love you. Right now, this is a very, very live moment. I'm very present right now in this moment. And I realize I have incredible power in this moment. And I can do anything. I have a huge impact on everything. And I know right now, even though I'm not, it looks empty where I am, I know that I can still make a huge impact right now with all of this emptiness by how I perceive all of this emptiness. And in saying that, always appreciate, take time as much as possible to appreciate what's around you, where you are, what you have. Even if what you have and what's around you doesn't seem like where you want to be. Because you're alive. It's not going back. It's not going anywhere. It's there. Make the most of it. Make it incredible. Everything you do, everything you've done is directly affecting me. And I became a whole lot more powerful once I began to realize that. And it really changed me once I really internalized those thoughts. So I'll stop there with my speech, but I hope that it hit the right place. I hope that you understand what I'm getting at here. And really, I'm talking more to myself than I'm talking to any of you. I'm really reminding myself, because it all starts from inside. All right, so this video, what's it gonna be about? Now, you see the title, and if you've made it this far, you're interested at least in the direction that it might go. But I want your time. I want you to use every moment of your time in a really powerful way, in a really productive way for you. So I'm going to tell you right now exactly what you're going to get in this video, so that you don't waste any of your time. Now, I'm going to tell you what this video is not going to be about and what it is going to be about right here, right now, so that you know. Now, what this video isn't going to be about is like me giving you tips on how to have better sex. It's going to be nothing like that, nor am I qualified to give you any type of advice on that. There's better resources for that, and I'm not the person. And I'm not going to tell you how to build your ego in regards to having sex, or in regards to sex in general. It's not about building egos. This is not about any type of emotional manipulation, anything like that. I don't stand behind those types of things. And that's not what this video is going to be about. But so what is this video going to be about? What are you going to experience and hear in this video? What I'm going to talk about in this video is not necessarily sex, being better at sex, but using the energy of sex for other parts of our lives, other parts of us. And keep in mind that the bottom line here is the bottom line, or the end game here, is spiritual evolution. That's what I have in mind. That's the end game here. But a lot of what I'm going to talk about is physical, but it's necessary because we live a physical existence. We're in an animal body, and we got to understand our animal body in order to evolve and understand who we are on levels higher than our animal body. So with that said, I'm going to talk about using sexual energy to build other parts of who we are. And trust me, this energy is abundant, it's huge, and we waste incredible amounts of it. And I want you to be aware of what you're wasting and how to preserve some of this energy and these resources that we waste, and also how to use it more constructively in order to make just life just way better. And this information applies to everyone, whether you're young, you're old, no matter your sexual orientation, no matter if you're celibate, whether you're single, whether you're in a committed relationship. This applies to everyone because we all create sexual energy to some degree on one level or another. And this energy is either being used or is being wasted. And I want to make you aware of how this energy is being used or wasted so that you can take it and be more powerful. Now, there's one thing I'm going to give you an instruction for at the end of the video, and that's how to generate more of this energy, to cultivate the energy that you have, and also in order to use it for other parts of your life, such as physical healing. I'm talking longevity, I'm talking illnesses, I'm talking better health, things like this. I'm talking about real physical better health by manipulating manipulating and controlling how you use this type of energy. And I'm also going to talk about how to use it in regards to a sexual relationship, whether it's monogamous, whether it's a marriage, whatever sexual relationship. But monogamy is my focus here because monogamy is, no judgment on what you do. But monogamy is the simplest and, my opinion, the best route to take here in regards to what I'm going to talk about. And in regards to using it for sex and for other reasons outside of sex, whether you're a person who's an ascetic, a monk, or someone who's devoted to some other part of your life where you want to totally take sex out of the equation, I'm going to talk about how to use sexual energy for that. And I'm going to explain why it may not be good to repress that sexual energy if that's what you want to do, or if that's your goal. And for people that have sex, I'm going to talk about how to use sex as a way for spiritual elevation. And what do I mean by spiritual elevation? Sex is, for a lot of us, for most of us, sex is an animalistic thing. It's just animal, carnal, primal desires that we're fulfilling. And a lot of us, most of us, don't see it past that. Well, I'm gonna talk about how to connect with it way past that, and in the process make your experience go way beyond your animal body. And in the process, bring you and your partner closer together to the point where you don't have to worry about, well, it will help you it will help you worry less about the other person not being satisfied and all the negative things that can lead to. So I'm talking about real deeply connecting with one another here in regards to how we use it. So yeah, I'm going to talk about this and a whole lot more. So that's what this video is going to be about. So I'm glad you're still here, and let's have some fun. Okay, so are y'all ready to do this or what? In my studio, beautiful. This is my studio. And this is my light. There's no better light than this. And this light is guiding me, and I'm so happy and appreciative to have it. So here's how we're gonna break this video down. All right, firstly, I'm gonna talk about the negatives of sexual energy. I mean, it's not negative, but the way we use it may be negative, and I'm going to talk about the negatives of how we use it. And then from there, I'm going to talk about the positives of how we use it, primarily the positives of how we don't really use it, because there's a lot of, that's primarily what this video is about. It's about the unknown and using what we don't realize what we have. So I'm going to talk about the positives of sexual energy, that, an untapped source of energy, basically. I'm going to talk about it like that. And then from there, I'm going to talk about the gender differences, the differences of energy, sexual energy among the genders, and discuss a little bit about why that is so, why it is the way it is. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about one way to equalize these differences between the genders, between the masculine and the feminine. And I'm going to speak about this primarily from a masculine point of view this time. In the future, I'll come at it from more of a feminine point of view. But the reason why I'm going to start in talking about it from a masculine point of view is because the masculine energy is the inferior one, and the dominant is the feminine energy. So I think it's most important to start with the one that's weakest, which is the masculine energy, and I'll explain why one's stronger and one's weaker. And of course, it's going to be, what I'm going to talk about in regards to that is going to be controversial, and it's going to be kind of subjective, I guess. But we can share our thoughts on that, in the comments for discussion, if you like. All right, so let's start with the negatives of the use of sexual energy. How is sexual energy used negatively? Well, let's start off by in me saying that I'm speaking about this from the vantage point of being divinely guided. Like, my vantage point here is that we're divinely guided, and we're in this physical, finite, mortal, weak body that can be just swept away, but it's very real, and it's what we are represented as in this reality. This is how we move, and this is what we carry all the rest of our energy in, this animal body. Now, with this animal body, it's it carries all of what we know on a physical basis around to interact with other physical bodies, animal bodies. It's how we make our transactions, how we give energy to one another, various energies to one another through this interactions through this animal body. And with this animal body, it has needs. This animal body needs some of its primary needs are things like food and sex. These are very highly instinctual parts of us. These types of needs, and because this is our primary vehicle that we move around on in this physical world, we focus on those types of needs, and we tend to forget that there's a whole lot more than those needs, and there's a whole lot more than those things that exist within us that we have. So we tend to think that they're everything, but they're not everything. There's a whole lot more behind the scenes. And for that reason, the focus is on that, and we think that, it's just like a huge resource that, of course it'll end one day. We know it's finite, but we think it's this huge resource that, it doesn't do anything else. It's our driving force. It's our driving purpose in this life and in this reality. But it's not that way, and I'll explain in a moment why it's not that way. But now let's transition over and talk about the positives. We just talked about the negatives. Just basically being attached to this physical body, thinking that there's nothing else beyond this. So now let's talk about the positives. Okay, the positives of all of this sexual energy that we have and that we possess is that it does give us satisfaction and pleasure, and a lot of us think that's the only reason that we have it. It's for satisfaction, pleasure, and of course primarily reproduction. But there's so many other like, if you think about like how much we have and how much we need, how much we have is tremendous, and how much we need is a very, very small amount. Like one man with all the resources that one man has in his body, he can populate the entire globe in a couple of days if we use all of his resources over a couple of days. So, obviously we have an abundant supply of this resource, this sexual energy. So what is it for? Is it for reproduction? I mean, is it just for sensual recreation? No, it couldn't be. We have way too much of it. So what is it for? Well, here's what a lot of people don't know and don't realize, that it's not just for sensual recreation and feeling good and reproduction. This abundance of energy it's a very, very deep store of energy for us that we don't realize that we have, which that's what I'm talking about here. How to save, and how to conserve, and how to use this energy with we be cautious on how we use this and not just throw it away. Now with this energy, like we're talking about the positives, right? Yeah, the positives of this is that we can use this energy for other purposes, other positive purposes. And what positive purposes am I talking about here? Well, this energy can be used to rejuvenate us. It's a way to reserve our youth. It's a way to fix our health, or conserve our health, keep us healthy. It's a way to make us stronger. It does a lot of good things for the physical body if we keep it, if we hold on to it and not throw it away. And I'll talk about what I mean by throwing it away and what I mean by holding on to it. Now let's move on to the next topic here, or the next part of this. Okay, now let's talk about the gender differences. You know, men and women, masculine and feminine. When it comes to sex and sexual energy, you know, both men and women are both driven by sex. The man more so than the woman, due to the nature of the energy, the sexual energy of a man. But I mean, it's just that you know, the woman is more magnetic, and the man is more the opposite pole of the magnetism. But the woman is the absorbing, and the man is what's attracted. So of course a woman has to put out less energy because their energy is absorbent. It's attractive. So the differences between men and women, sexual differences between men and women. Women have a very, very strong capacity to regenerate their sexual energy, and this is very advantageous for them. I mean, a woman is regenerated. Well, they're depleted by the moon every month. That's part of their sexual nature. A woman's monthly cycle. It's lunar. But they're also regenerated by the earth. Because, you know, the earth is very yin. And us men, we are highly driven by the sun. And the sun and solar energy. I'm going to have to look deeper into that to be able to explain it, so don't quote me on that part. But that's what I remember. We are strongly driven by the sun. So women have a much stronger ability to regenerate themselves. Us men, we don't have as strong of an ability to regenerate ourselves. And partially for that purpose, that makes us the weaker sex, because we lose a lot of energy in the act of sex, and we have the least capacity to regenerate. A woman, they have a very, very strong capacity to regenerate. And like, I think that the masculine and the feminine are the completion of one another. Like one is the other half of the other. But I have a feeling, and some may even disagree, that the feminine is just way, 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 way stronger. And like, I think it even leads to the idea that God is a woman, or God is a feminine energy. You know, that could go in some different directions there. And, you know, feel free to, you know, let me know how you feel about that. And, you know, I learn from you as well. But yeah, the woman, my point is, in saying all of this, the woman has a huge sexual regeneration capacity. And a man's regeneration is it's quite weak compared to a woman. If you compare it to a woman, it's really no contest. A man can't measure up. So now let's talk about how a man can save himself, can conserve himself. Because what a man loses, especially when we talk about like bodily fluid that a man has to remake and recreate, and it takes them a long time to regenerate. A woman, you know, regenerates like that. You know, it's nothing for them. That really takes a toll on a man. It's a very, very precious resource of a man. It's not just something you can freely just get rid of, and it doesn't matter, and it you know, it's, you know, you just make some more. No, this is a very precious resource, and it drains you. And from what I've learned, you want to hold on to that. You want to keep as much as you can. And by keeping this, it makes you a whole lot more equal to what a woman can do. And that's part of the problem with the dynamic between masculine and feminine energy. You know, a man not being able to keep up, a man not being able to do what a woman can, because a woman is seemingly just has the complete, it's just better, just completely superior in comparison to a man when it comes to the sexual energy. So in order for a man to keep up, in order for a man to fulfill his half of the cosmic promise between the masculine and the feminine, a man doesn't need to lose what he has, because what he has is very expensive for him. So what a man can do in order to be the equal of a woman in terms of sexual energy is hold on to your sexual fluids. Like, don't let anything go. And I'll talk about how to not let anything go at the end of this video in a little bit. But let me move on to the next topic here. Now, you're probably thinking that, you know, this is not just for like a man, just, you know, a monogamous, you know, man-woman relationship, or just a man-woman relationship. This applies to pretty much anyone. This applies to, you know, you have ascetic people who really restrict themselves from other things. You have very, very religious people who completely abstain from sex. And the reason why they do this is to conserve a lot of their sexual energy and devote their energy, not towards sex, but toward those higher things that I was talking about at the beginning of the video, that are not related to or tied to the animal body. When we get away from this animal body and focus on some of these other things, some really beautiful things can happen. Some really amazing things can happen if we don't focus on the animal body as much as we do. And like with people that are like, you know, really religious, you know, it's a good thing. You know, they're the principles behind it is good. But I guess the negative side of that is that you do have this animal body. It has needs, it has to eat, it has sexual organs, they have to work, they have to do functions. They can't just sit dormant. And in regards to that, you can't just ignore this part of you. That's part of your earthly duty and responsibility. It's a part of you. And you know, if you don't, you know, maybe some good things can happen, but some negative things can happen too, in regards to like health, which I will not go into. But yeah, with this and being more spiritually aware of what you're letting go of when you have sex. And this doesn't just apply to men, it applies to women as well, and like what you let go when you have sex, the energies that you lose. But I'm focusing more on the male side this time around, and next time around I'll focus more on the feminine side. But yeah, when you conserve and save a lot, conserve and save yourself, and don't waste your fluids. If you're a man, specifically if you're a man, female too, but I'm focusing on men, then you gain so much more. You're able to focus and put that energy, it goes to higher realms of you. It goes beyond your animal body, and it goes from your physical body to your psychological body, higher bodies, all the way to your spirit, feeding your spirit when you let these Like you keep the energy, you keep the energies, and you can psychically and mentally move that energy into higher places. And I'll talk about these things later. Really, I'm going to keep this video very physically grounded, like on the physical animal body. So I don't want to talk about that too much this time around. And that's part of the reason why people that are very, very religious and spiritual abstain from sex. But it can come back, and it's also the same reason why a lot of these people have like scandals and stuff, sex scandals, because they restrict themselves and they have real human needs. And I don't think it's healthy to ignore that. And nor do I think sex is like an evil thing or anything like that. I think it's a really profound way to spiritually bond to people, which I'll talk about in a moment. So, it's a real deep thing when it comes to the energy of sex and the power of sex that we don't really understand. More than just reproduction and more than just sensual recreation. It's way deeper than that. And once you take your mind away from that, then it opens up the ceiling to all of the possibilities of what can be. Okay, so let's wrap this video up by talking about what a man can do to conserve himself. And again, I'm going to keep this physical, so I'm just going to talk about something that a man can physically do to conserve himself. And I'll talk about how can this help the man and the woman, if there's a man-woman relationship, or how this can help just the man if he's a single person looking for someone. And I'm going to talk about how it can just help the person that doesn't care about sex at all, who's just on a spiritual path and is trying to block that part of his life out until later or whatever. Okay, so what a man can do in order to conserve himself and not give himself away and have to rebuild himself through his body, through his sexual reproduction, using his energy and resources, is that basically abstain from letting go during the act of sex. Abstain from letting go, not completely abstain from sex, just completely forget that sex even exists, because it does exist and it is a part of you, it is a part of your nature, it is a part of your animal body, and you have to respect. I think you have to respect that too. But with this, you want to hold on to it, and it requires a degree of discipline. It's not just something you can just completely stop with willpower. I mean, you can use willpower, but there's consequences to that. I just mentioned about there's consequences to that. But what a man can physically do is there's exercises that a man can do, and there's a book below in the comment section if you want to read more in depth on your own. But there's things a man can do physically to stop himself from coming out, or stop himself from losing his precious reproductive energy. And after you stop and you conserve this energy, it can be used for other purposes, such as rebuilding you. Like when your body doesn't have to waste all of that energy to rebuild itself through reproduction, it can focus on rebuilding its health. Like the value of reproductive fluids is very, very, the value is very high, and you save your body a whole lot of energy by keeping that. And this doesn't mean abstaining from sex, because you can still have sex without letting yourself go. And I guess that's the part where some type of training would come in. You would have to really teach yourself and train yourself, which would take a lot of the fun out of the act of having sex for a while until you learn how to do it. You know, like well, basically, here's like something simple that a man can do. At the point of climax, he can basically squeeze off himself from under, from between his legs, from under, in between. He can squeeze himself off and still let go without letting anything go, and they won't lose anything, and he won't lose much, and that energy will be conserved, and over time it rebuilds you, it replenishes you. And how does this benefit a woman? How does it help a woman by a man doing this? Like, a woman would probably think that they're gonna lose something by the man not letting go. You know, for a woman, they're probably so accustomed to, you know, that's them showing their sacrifice, showing how much they love them by letting go and making themselves weak and vulnerable. No, it doesn't have to be that way. What if your man could go as long as you could with as big of a capacity as you? What would that do to your connection, your relationship, your sex life? It would make it a whole lot better. Like, you would become stronger. Your man would become stronger. He would be able to perform better and longer with not having to worry about you know, releasing and letting go, because really that's a restriction. Really, that's a restriction. If a man didn't have that restriction, you know, things would be so much more pleasurable. Like the end, the climax, when you're talking about sex, is, you know, people say that's, you know, it's the climax, but really it's just the end. You know, it's kind of like, you know, you're playing a game, and, you know, at the end of the game you win, but if there's no middle of the game, there's no start, no middle, you know, all the parts in the middle, you know, the win doesn't mean anything. And really, the entire game, or the entire act, all the way up until the climax, is where all of the enjoyment happens, in my opinion. So ultimately, between men and women, if both were to embrace that whole ideology, and the woman was to work with the man in regards to that, it could trigger, it could help, it could promote a tremendous spiritual growth between the two. Because, you know, if you think about it from the point of view of a union is only, or, you know, there's a saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. If your man is stronger, he strengthens the both of you, and the both of you can grow. You're complete. Both of your energy as a completion can grow together. And, you know, if you both put in the effort, that could put a huge amount of satisfaction in the relationship, where no one has to look outside. No one has to be, you know, jealous or anything like that. None of these are low vibrational feelings, because they're getting all they want and more from home, or from each other. And, you know, these types of things build up to just seemingly infinite amounts of spiritual growth and evolution. So that's I think it's a really beautiful thing in regards to, like, a relationship, you know, monogamous relationship. When you start talking about other parties, it becomes more complicated. And even like, if with the reason why a monogamous relationship it seems to be better, is because with a monogamous relationship, it takes a great deal of attention and the two working together in order to make this happen. One can't do it without the other. It's a two-party thing, really. It's and, you know, you're mastering each other. So you add more people to the party, it really complicates things, and it's tough mastering one person, let alone trying to master multiple people, and let alone the whatever other dynamics that may come into that, where like whatever personality conflicts that may fall in from that, and consequences that could happen from that. But yeah, and even if you're single, you're not with anyone, you're looking for someone. This is a way to build your magnetism, a way to build your aura, because this is a part of what builds your attraction. When you let yourself go, you weaken your aura, you weaken your magnetism, you're less attractive. Like, attraction isn't just you think someone's attractive, or you see someone and they look attractive. Attraction goes way deeper than that. Attraction is a lot of attraction is what we don't actually see, and I'm calling that attraction magnetism and aura. So you can build your aura through doing this if you're a single person. And if you're a person that's just all the way on the spiritual path of life, and you don't care anything about sex, this is this is great for you. It's great for you still. And like, even with that, like, I did a video I think a couple of years ago. It's called Unlocking the Power of the Muscle That Few Train, and it talked about building sexual energy by strengthening your groin. You build sexual energy. It doesn't have to be used for sex, but it's still energy. Your sexual organs, they still get used. They still make energy, and that energy doesn't have to be used for sex. This is a very valuable source of energy in life. And even if you're a person who sex is not part of the equation in your life, that is still a deep reservoir of energy that I think you shouldn't just let pass you by, or ignore, or let build up and come back and tap you on the shoulder later, like, hey, we're going tap you on the, like, hey, remember me? Tap you on the shoulder, hey, you remember me? You don't want that. Well, I don't think you want it. I've never been in that situation, but that's what I would think. But if that's not the case, hey, I don't know. I'm just speaking on it from a hypothetical, perspective point of view. Okay, so I'll finish the video up here, and I think I created a lot more questions than answered questions with this video, and I don't really know, like, what type of questions I've generated. So I'd like to know what you're thinking, in the comments section, or if you're a really private person, email's okay. But I'll drop some of my resources and the description of this video, and maybe some information that I missed in the description box. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you took something from it. And the purpose of this, the main purpose of this video, again, if you missed it, is that if you're a couple, this video is all about spiritual evolution. It's about building, like, sex is also a tool for bonding. So it's a serious way to bond, because you will definitely increase you'll make your sex life a whole lot more pleasant. And bonding is about things you can do together, and with a couple, obviously one thing that they do a lot is have sex. So it's an excellent way to bond, and bonding through making what you bond with a whole lot better. And if you know, if you're looking for someone, attraction, auras, building it, you know, a lot of attraction is unseen. A lot of attraction, like what we're attracted in other people, it isn't just always just like looks. It's just sometimes you can just feel that I want this other person. It's just something you can't even put your finger on it. You just know it's there. And to me, that's like a type of magnetism, or like a person you for example, you see them for the first time and you think nothing of them really, and then you're kind of around them and they don't have to say much. You say a little bit, and then the next thing you know, you realize that, whoa, you know, I really have feelings for this. Where are these feelings coming from? And I think that's, you know, a part of that magnetism, that aura of that other person. You also give off an aura, and you know, this energy can be used again for other parts of your life. Like if you have goals in your life, you're trying to accomplish something, be something, you want to have more energy to put into things. This energy is abundant, and this energy can be used to help you supplement and help you really put energy in other parts of your life. A lot of us have blown a lot of our energy in our life by doing things that, you know, that didn't really move our lives forward. And for some of us, sex was one of those things. So I'll stop here, and I appreciate you for sticking around and checking this out. And thank you so much for watching. See you next time, and you know, a whole lot more to come. Again, I love you. I appreciate you, and you take care. I'm gone.